For some time without any previous mention of birth. This was a bizarre omission, but then again, a male journalist asked, "What's the connection?" Our author, Eve Ensler, was present for the birth of her granddaughter. She was in awe of vaginas before that moment. She's in deep worship now.
I was there when her vagina opened. We were all there. Her mother, her husband, and I, and the nurse from the Ukraine with our whole hand up there in her vagina, feeling and turning with her rubber glove as she talked casually to us, like she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was there in the room when the contraction started, made her crawl on all fours, made unfamiliar moans leak out of her pores, and still there after hours when she just screamed suddenly, wild, her arms striking at the electric air. I was there when her vagina changed from a shy sexual hole to an archaeological tunnel, a sacred vessel, a Venetian canal, a deep well with a tiny stuck child inside, waiting to be rescued. I saw the colors of her vagina. They changed. Saw the bruised, broken blue, the blistering tomato red, the gray pink, the dark. Saw the blood-like perspiration on the edges. Saw the yellow white liquid, the shit, the clots, pushing out all the holes, pushing harder and harder. Saw the hole, the baby's head, scratches of black hair. Saw it just there behind, the bone, a round, hard memory. And the nurse from the Ukraine kept turning and turning her slippery hand. I was there when each of us, her mother and I, held a leg and spread her wide, pushing with all of our strength against her pushing, and her husband sternly counting 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder. We looked into her then. We couldn't get our eyes out of that place. We forget the vagina, all of us. What else would explain our lack of awe, our lack of reverence? I was there when the doctor reached in with Alice in Wonderland spoons, and there's her vagina became a wide, operatic mouth, singing with all of its strength. First the little head, then the gray flopping arm, and the fast-swimming body swimming quickly into our weeping arms. I was there later when I just turned and faced her vagina. I stood and let myself see her all spread, completely exposed, mutilated, swollen, and torn, bleeding all over the doctor's hands, who was calmly sewing her there. I stood as her vagina suddenly became a wide, red, pulsing heart. The heart is capable of sacrifice. So is the vagina. The heart is able to forgive and repair. It can change its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can bleed for us and stretch for us, die for us, and it bleed us into this difficult, wondrous world. I was there in the room. I remember.
Miriam was an activist and an author. She was chief of staff for the Ministry for Gender and the Rights of Women of Haiti. Founded EnfoFam, which collects and promotes women's stories and promotes the fighting for women's rights through the media. She was extraordinary and beloved and brought V-Day and the Vagina monologues to Haiti. She died in the earthquake. Miriam, almost a year has passed since 2010 cracked open at its spine. A year since I began calling you, calling and calling, believing the ring would find you and wake you, your cell gripped in your very hand. A year since those days of exploding living rooms and limbs, a blizzard of cement and bone. Those days of body bags and not enough body bags, of silent babies wandering the remains, and mad digging and sometimes screams, cheers, prayers. Those days right after Haiti collapsed, like a house of cards. You, who had been holding it up, now suddenly under it. Miriam, there are women in the streets, in cars, in camps, in ragged patchwork tents, women hardly clothed, grabbed by hungry, angry men, filled with babies not their own. There are women, in order to work, they must leave their daughters. Women with blood on their legs, terrified to take a bath. There are women waiting to sleep, waiting for doors and roofs and walls, and there are women refusing to wait, women calling up your memory, your name. You worked so hard to change all this. Like the biblical prophetess, return to your land, tambourine in hand, to sing the stories of your women. You knew the future of Haiti depended on it. You and Magali and Anne-Marie and all the others who broke down the gates, who changed the street names, hacked the courtrooms, made laws. Your bodies may be laying amidst the steel and dust, but you did not perish there. We are not giving up. We are singing your song, emboldened by your name, Miriam, Miriam, Miriam. Coming out through the monsoon. I'm sure that was really exciting for all of you. But we really appreciate you guys coming out. And like we said, all of your proceeds, ticket sales, if you want to buy some chocolate vaginas afterwards, we'll be selling those. All of those proceeds are going directly to WAR, which is Women Organized Against Rape, which is going to women's shelters in Philadelphia and helping out counseling services for women. So awesome. And the rest of the proceeds are going to women and girls in Haiti. So like I said, we really appreciate that. And we want to thank Rembrandt. So if you guys want to get a drink afterwards, that would be great because they donated this place entirely to us. So
I want to thank everybody who's standing behind me because these women really came together and helped me put this whole thing together. But I really wanted to thank Amy especially because 2 weeks ago I had another event that I was putting on as well. It was not crazy. And my head started to spin off my shoulders and I called her and I said, please help. So she became a right-hand woman who really helped things over. So, or my partner, or assistant.